What is up, everybody? WTF? Welcome to Funkatopia. I hope all of you are doing well. I'm Mr. Christopher. This is Jeff Page.
What's up, everybody?
Man,
It's been a little while. It feels like it's been a lot longer than it actually has.
it's just been a week.
Yeah, but it just feels like it's been like a lot longer. I don't know why. That 90-degree weather.
Yeah, it's crazy. And let's say hello to some folks before we say Andy, what's going on.
Annabelle's been here.
Kenny T, yeah, Kenny T was in here a little bit. Also, Claire Air. I can't say it now. I'm just totally gone. Claire R.
Hey, Claire.
Kim, Samantha, Many Moons. What's going on, Christina? Minneapolis. WTF, Krista. Lawrence, Kimberly, Susie, Carrie, man, all you fine folks, man. I hope you're doing well. Hey, listen, this is the pre-show. Not that there's going to be any semblance of separation between the pre-show and the actual show.
Not really.
I just want to come in and just say hello and see how everybody's doing, and then we're gonna get into we're gonna be doing music news tonight. There's no special guest tonight.
Yeah, we're just gonna hang out and whatever happens kind of thing. We'll cover some news stuff, some whatever
music
made one of us interested, right?
and purple news. There's a good bit
news.
There's good bit of purple news, and a special announcement also that not even Jeff Page knows about. So lots, yeah, hey, we gotta keep the surprises coming. So you're gonna want to stick around for that. You don't have to. You can leave if you want. It's all good. And I hope you guys are doing well. Listen, cannot thank you enough for the amazing support that we had from last week's show. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, between the Purple Rain roundtable that we had and the massive amount of guests that we had on the Purple Rain roundtable, and then I also did the interview with Mark Cardinus from The Time. He played on Ice Cream Castle in the movie, and also on the album cover of Ice Cream Castle as well. Then the very next night after I did that interview, then we did the 40th anniversary of The Time's Ice Cream Castle, and we had St. Paul Peterson and Jerry Hubbard on. And it was ridiculous because there were more stories that had gotten unveiled that nobody had. I mean, nobody saw it coming. I mean,
nobody.
And on top of that, he would have gone on. He easily would have gone on for another hour. Yeah. And he even told me so. He said he would have sat there and talked all night. So dude,
I'm sorry. There was nothing cooler than him sounding like he's wrapping up, and then and another story. It's like, okay, keep him coming. He had a lot. It was awesome.
Yeah. So, you know what? Let me just go ahead and start up, because I feel like when you do like a line of shows like that. When you do just a laundry list line of shows like that, you got to follow up with something, right? It's like,
that's true.
What was interesting about that Time show was that was actually a pivot, because I was considering, wanting to get Jerome Benton back on and have him talk about the 40th anniversary of Ice Cream Castle. That was my goal. And then maybe he would reach out to Morse, and the timing and everything that was going on with their show in Minneapolis, and it's just for the Taste of Minnesota or whatever it was, and all the things that they had going on. It just didn't. It just, the timing and everything was just working out. So I pivoted and I said, you know what, St. Paul Peterson, Mark Cardinus, and Jerry Hubbard from Ice Cream Castle, from the album cover, from the movie. I said, why doesn't anybody celebrate these guys? I really feel like this is a missed opportunity. And I totally shifted, got the interview done with Mark Cardinus. And then when we got Paul and Jerry in here, it was just like, bam, 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 bam. It was just so many. It was just ridiculous, the amount of stories. It was insane.
Yeah.
So, I I wanted to I'm gonna go ahead and make the special announcement, but I kinda wanna preface it with a little bit of a story because, obviously, I had been talking with Jerry Hubbard even after the show, and we were talking and cutting up, and, it was, um it was really cool just even hearing, more stories offline and everything.
Mhm.
Then then I wanna say it was Saturday night. Let's see, what was it?
Yes, it was
It was
Saturday night.
Saturday night, I go to sleep, and I plug in my phone, and, of course, I have an iPhone, so when you plug in the phone, it goes to sleep. And if any calls come in, it's like it just automatically either it just mutes it or doesn't do anything or whatever. So I get up in the morning, I go about my day, I don't even pay attention to any notifications on my phone. And of course, uh, just so we're clear, a lot of people don't know this, but I had surgery on Wednesday. So I wasn't really going to share that. It's not really, I mean, I guess it is public information. I put it on Facebook, but not on Funkatopia's Facebook. I put it on my personal Facebook. So a lot of people know I had surgery. Um, and so I was recovering and just taking it easy this past weekend. And then as I'm sitting there looking at the TV, I happened to see that a call came in at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just like, who the heck would have called me at 1 o'clock in the morning? And so I pick up my phone and I hear this.
Hey, what's up, Chris? This is Jesse Johnson. I wanted to speak with you about something. So give me a ring when you get a chance. All right, peace.
I'm like, what? Jesse Johnson just called me at 1 o'clock in the morning, my time. And I'm like, what is happening? And of course, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, okay, all right, okay, cool. All right, dope. So we kind of go through I go through the day and I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to, so I text him. I wait until it's a little bit later in the day, because he's in LA and I'm in Atlanta, and he obviously didn't know that. Or maybe he did, and he was just doing like a princely type of thing where you call in the the wee hours of the morning. And I sent a text and I said, "Hey, got your message. I'd be honored to talk to you. It would be really, really cool. I would love to chat with you for sure. I would love to talk with you."
Right.
And no reply. No reply, no little thumbs up on the corner of the message, and nothing. It was nothing. So I waited a little bit later to like about 7 o'clock that night, and I called him, and it went right to voicemail. And his voicemail is really, really funny. It's not him. It's like a snippet from a movie. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
anyway, it doesn't matter. So still nothing. Then Sunday passes. Monday comes along yesterday, and I sent an email to Jerry, and I said, "Hey, just let you know, I haven't talked to Jesse. Just it's cool. Uh, thank you so much for obviously giving him my number. That's very, very
Yeah,
cool."
the connection's always appreciated.
And he was like, "Oh, yeah." He said, "I forgot to tell him that you were in Atlanta." He said, "My bad." Blah 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 blah. And he said, "I think he said he's going to call you tonight." So I'm like, "Okay, this is
Can't sleep.
so, yeah, right." So I'm laying in bed. I'm doing the old guy thing. I'm in bed at 8, nothing. I'm in bed at 9, nothing. 10, nothing. 11, nothing. 11:30. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, look, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna try to call him. If he doesn't answer, I'll just leave a voicemail and we'll talk later. So I walk out into the living room. It's completely dark, and I call him, and he picks up.
Mm,
And we talked for an hour and a half on the phone.
awesome.
Literally talked about, I mean, everything. I mean, not everything, but obviously we talked about new music. He talked about the show, our show, uh, just just a lot. He was just sharing stories like we were doing a show in the middle of the night. And finally got off the phone with him about 1 o'clock in the morning. And so the special announcement is next Tuesday, Jesse Johnson's going to be on Funkatopia.
Let me get this in. Hello.
There you go.
That's heavy duty, man. That is heavy duty, primo, high caliber news right there.
Yeah. So if you're going, so here's the thing. So if you're going to follow up with the line of shows that we already had,
that's the ultimate right there.
Absolutely the way to do it. Absolutely the way to do it. And for you Funkatopians who have been here for years, you know that we have been, I've been chasing Jesse for many years to try to come on the show. And I think, you know, everything, the traction, everything that we're doing now is obviously very warranted. So
amazing.
Next Tuesday night, you won't want to be anywhere else because Jesse Johnson's going to be right here. And it's going to be ridiculous. So
that's so awesome.
Yeah, and I was gonna text you, and I was gonna say, you know, hey, I was on the phone with Jesse till 1 o'clock in the morning, but it was just kind of just a really cool, just private moment, telling me about different things, and he shared some things that he's never going to share publicly, so I can't share them publicly either. But it was really cool.
It should be.
And I was thinking, you know, I got my stuff together, and I was like, you know, how many vinyls do I have for this guy? I mean, because I was thinking about this, and this isn't even counting CDs, not even counting CDs or cassettes.
Right.
I mean, we can go backwards. I have Bare My Naked Soul right here.
So amazing.
Verbal Penetration is somewhere over here, but I had Love Struck. I had obviously Jesse Johnson's 12-inch of Crazy. I had an unopened Jesse Johnson's review, original Jesse Johnson's review. The 12-inch for I Want My Girl. The 12-inch for She I Can't Resist. Another Jesse Johnson's review. I mean, they just kind of keep coming. Obviously, Shockdelica and Every Shade of Love. And yet another copy of Jesse Johnson's review. I got 3 of those.
Very awesome.
Which one's this? This one's Baby Let's Kiss. I got the 12-inch for that. And anyway, also, I have Wendy and Lisa up there, and I got The Crash. I mean, I was like, you know what? I'm just curious just how much stuff I actually have of his. And I was going to go up into the attic and get some of the cassettes and stuff, which are probably ruined now because they're in the attic. But I was just like, that's unreal. So anyways, I am super psyched to, man.
Yeah,
I'm super psyched to announce that Jesse Johnson is going to be on Funkatopia Live next Tuesday. So it'll be around.
That's the ultimate right there. There it is. The elusive, but now here.
Yeah, and one of the things I will tell you, which is really cool, a lot of people have been asking, and he'll divulge this when he comes on, but there's more to it. So I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit of taste. There is new music coming.
Right.
So just know, but I'm not going to tell you how much or what or whatever. I'm going to let him do all that.
I think everybody figured that out pretty much, that something new was happening, because that's kind of what the buzz has been. So this would be great to get all the exclusive new news and information straight from his mouth.
It's going to be ridiculous. So
yeah, it's awesome.
And I think he pre-warned me that he's probably not going to do video. He'll do like Jerry did last week. He just, you know, when you're doing an interview, you just kind of want to chill. You don't want to feel like you always have to be on, and
yeah.
So it's fine.
It's fine. We'll put a little picture up of him.
So yeah, screen capture it.
Screen capture his face. Yeah, it's good.
Next Tuesday, man.
I'm just excited that he's going to be here. Like, I think that's awesome. That's just the way. Yeah.
So
I've got words. They're just not going to be congruent together. So it's awesome.
Oh, this is interesting. All right. So let's talk. This is a little bit of purple news. Also, we'll do one more piece of purple news, and we'll do the other music news, and then we'll come back to some more purple news.
Yeah, we'll just bounce around. It's all good.
Yeah, let's bounce around. So we had, as I mentioned, we had Mark Cardinus on the show from the Time. He was the keyboardist for the Time. And I'm not really sure who he was replacing at the time, whether it be Monty or whatever, but it doesn't matter. He was in the Time with Paul Peterson on keys. And he was talking on the interview. If you have not had an opportunity to see the interview, he was talking that he is in a band right now called 206 Rib Shack Orchestra.
Made me hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to talk about food right now.
Sorry.
For those that don't know, this surgery is requiring me not to be able to eat for 2 weeks. I wasn't able to eat 2 weeks before the surgery or 2 weeks after the surgery. So it's going to literally be a month since I've eaten food. I am in week 3 right now.
Solid food, right?
Solid food. No. I can only have protein shakes, Jello.
Yeah. Jeepers.
And they just told me that I can now add yogurt as long as it doesn't have fruit bits in it. And I'm just like,
yeah, I went out to dinner the other day and poured some out for you, my homie.
Man, thanks, man. I'm already 21 pounds down. I could see it in my face this morning when I was shaving. I was like, God, man, there's 21 pounds gone already just in the 3 weeks. Anyways, gets back to the story. Shut up, Christopher. Get back to the story. Yes, bone broth. I can do bone broth too, Johnny. But that's disgusting. So I'm doing it. Actually, bone broth is actually pretty good. My wife actually is doing this thing now with there's like a jar of bouillon stuff that you can like scoop out and put into chicken broth that makes it like pretend like you're eating something. But anyways, so Mark Cardinus, he said he's in a band called 206 Rib Shack Orchestra. And he was talking about on the interview, he was talking about this song called Sauce on My Bone that had some type of tie to the Time. And I said, hey, I would love to. I said, do you guys have anything online? He was like, oh, we have vinyl, red vinyl. And he literally sent me the red vinyl for 206. And he actually wrote messages on it as well. And you can only get the vinyl from the shows live. 206, the 206 part of their title is a Washington State zip code,
area code or something.
Area code, sorry, yeah. And I remember him mentioning in the interview that Sauce on My Bone had something to do with the Time. And so I asked him, and he just sent me this text. He said, Sauce on My Bone and the 5 other cuts were written and recorded in 2008 in Seattle on the 2-inch 16-track and mixed digitally. We basically came up with the song titles first and the tracks followed. Everybody in the band are big fans of the Time, so they already knew who I was when we got together. As we were coming up with the track, it already sounded like something the Time would play, so he took the liberty of laying down Oberheim synthesizer to add the chili sauce Jimmy Jam and Jerry talk about, aka the Minneapolis sound, to the track, which I was no stranger to. And when we laid it down, our lead singer came up with the verses, and we stepped back and listened and said, this one really sounds like the Time. And he says, I sort of lost contact with the band over the decades when we were reluctant to circulate the demo without copyright. We are unknown, unsigned band and very occasionally play together this music along with other favorite cover tunes from the Time, Parliament, Cameo, Motown. We haven't until recently looked at playing as an original act until now with the release of this 6-song EP vinyl. And there was on the first track, it does this little breakdown and you hear this little baby like cooing and saying something in the background. And I asked him what that was about. And he said, the baby cooing in the background on track 1 was the infant son of the singer that was in his arms while he was, I guess, like, recording. And it was such a keeper take that we just left it in. Thanks for listening. He said 206 Rib Shack guerrilla promotion style, but Sauce on My Bone in a sense was written and a big nod to the Time, obviously. Awesome. And I actually have it on my system here, and I'm going to turn it up and let you guys get a taste of Sauce on My Bone. I know he was obviously a little bit apprehensive, but I want you guys to hear this. This is a track called Sauce on My Bone. This little piece of it. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. Let me move this mic up this way.
Mm.
Can you not hear it?
Yeah, it's too choppy. It's it's being
Choppy
blocked
mic?
out and filtered. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
you
but
can get
anyway,
like a sense of some
yeah,
funkiness in there though.
yeah.
But it's very
It's
simple.
really, really cool. So, anyways, if you guys happen to be like in Northern California or somewhere up in the Washington area or something, you get a chance to see 206 Rib Shack Orchestra playing around somewhere. Definitely check them out. Trying to see if it was like a website or something. I don't think there was. Wasn't his website markcardinus.com? I want to say that's what it was. Anyways, I thought that was,
If you do, pick one up for me and I'll send you the money for it.
yeah, I'm sure that we can figure out some way for him to be able to get them, because he said the only way they're being distributed right now is if you come see them live and then you get it.
It's awesome.
Maybe there's something that we can figure out where we can, where I can have him send me like 5 copies or something, or however many copies, and then I can mail them from here, and just let people
Yeah.
or
I'm
something.
sure we
I
can
don't
work something
know.
out.
We'll figure it out. But anyways, yeah. So that was really, really cool too. So, anyways, there's that. You
I
know,
like it.
yeah. I mean, it's cool that it's very, very. Trying to think of the right word. It's very um, it's very time sounding. It definitely is, and of course the six track approach is very time also.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, it's an EP, so there you go.
yeah, exactly. Uh, have you? Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can share this. I don't know if I can or not, but this is actually really, really funny. Um, Obviously, the whole shooting thing that happened this weekend was insane. Was
Oh yeah.
ridiculous. But I had to laugh at this one thing that I saw that somebody created. Um, Somebody created. I mean, it was Saturday. What are we talking about? Sunday, Monday, 2 days. I mean, 2.5 days or whatever before this little video that some Japanese animator created was in circulation. It was insane. And it was funny because it was just this little short video, but it's just so weird. Listen to this.
我が心と行動に一点の曇りなし。すべてが正義だ。ドジャーンドジャーンドジャーン一体何のつもりなんだ遺体はこのバレンタインのことを好いてくれて我が心と行動に
It's like, how do they even make these videos so
That's
fast
pretty quick.
with
That's
that
pretty
level
quick.
of detail? It's just weird. And of course they made him look like a superhero, which of course I was, I was telling people in my family, I said, if Trump runs again, and I said this 2 years ago, I said, if Trump runs again, he's going to win. They were like, shut up. It's not going to happen. I was like, okay, just watch. You just watch.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like a little weird, super.
I don't know, man. There's all kinds of stuff out there over this. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of
I
people are
wouldn't
just
I
like,
wouldn't touch that.
I don't understand. People are like, I don't understand how how all this went down. It was just so weird that it went so quick. That with this and the people being able to see this kid on the roof for like more than 10 minutes prior, and we're trying to get people to pay attention to this kid on the roof, and nobody was giving him any mind, and it was like it's just the whole thing is just weird and bizarre. But it's not very Funkatopia-y, so we're just gonna move on. But I saw that video and I said that's very funny. So the next thing I want to talk about obviously is not yet again, it's not purple news, but this is pretty interesting too. Is anybody's familiar with Jack Black and his band Tenacious D?
Yeah.
Jack Black is he's I mean, he's an actor, obviously, but he's got a pretty good rock and roll voice. He does this like screaming thing,
Oh
it's
yeah,
very, very metal. And
they
so
do their
he has,
thing too.
oh yeah, and he's
They
got
have
this
their fan base,
he's
right?
got rock band vibe, and they do these shows. Again, the name of the band is Tenacious D. Lisa, we will be talking about the Netflix doc that's coming up. We'll talk that in a minute. Um, and apparently, the other guy that plays in Tenacious D, who is his name? Kyle Glass, I want to say his name is. I can't remember what his name is, but
Mm.
come and wish him happy birthday, and then
Gas, I think.
Jack Black says, what's your birthday wish? And he kind of does this little kneeling thing, waiting for, his bandmate to say what it is that he wants. And his bandmate says this.
Don't miss Trump next time.
Okay. So not very smart no matter what side of the aisle that you're on.
Not very smart at all.
Never mind. I want to say that Tenacious D also has a song called March or something like that, where he talks about Trump being in the KKK and all this stuff. And so, it was already well known that they really kind of weren't Trump fans, but to say something like that
Yeah,
was
that's not cool at all.
a little bit over the top. And I guess, yes, thank you, Electric Vibe is Kyle Glass.
Yeah, no, it's more than a little bit over the top. It's over
Yeah.
the top. You can't do that.
But they also, their premise is really for shock also. So it's not, because they have some shock songs in there. I mean, when you're singing about things like the KKK and different things like that, you have shock jock, or not shock jock, but you have shock into your formula.
I get that.
But the timing was really bad.
But the talk about you can have shock songs, but when you're talking about killing somebody and a situation like that, and it's the president, even though it's anybody, the fact that it's the president is even more like, why would you even do that? Like presidential scenario. I mean, he's not the president, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You don't do that. If it were a different scenario, it would have been even worse. So yeah, I don't. No.
Yeah. So, anyways, a lot of people thought it was Jack Black, because I guess the way the video is done, there's one that shot from behind Jack Black, so it almost looked like Jack was the one that said it. So Jack caught a lot of heat when it wasn't him that said it. It was the other guy, Kyle Gass. And so this is probably pretty smart. Jack Black put out a statement today that says, I was blindsided by what was said at the show on Sunday. I would never condone hate speech or encourage political violence in any form. After much reflection, I no longer feel it is appropriate to continue the Tenacious D tour, and all future creative plans are on hold. I am grateful to the fans for their support and understanding.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
I mean, because you're not only affecting, the fans, but also everybody that's in the band.
Right.
All the places and venues that you may have paid for and reserved. So there's,
Well, I think that's a fairly smart move. It's extreme, you think, but he's canceling himself, albeit temporarily or not, rather than be canceled by ignoring it and just continuing trying to fight through it. You know what I mean? He's proactively going, okay, hold up.
So there's that. I saw this pop up last minute. We're going through the news. We got purple news coming.
Yeah,
Just
don't worry about it. Keep going.
It's fine.
It'll be all right.
Relax. You're gonna be fine. This is all interesting stuff. Because I saw this pop up and I was like, this can't be. Is this really true? It is. 40 years ago today, Sade's Diamond Life was released.
Wow. Yeah.
So
wow.
This is kind of one of these things. It's like, I don't, I mean, I knew exactly where I was when this album came out. We were living in downtown Atlanta. Rob and I were living in a trailer in downtown Atlanta when this album came out. and it was in like the industrial part of Atlanta. It was a rough area, Chattahoochee Avenue area of like Atlanta, and we were it was rough. But I remember, we would party all the time, and this album came out, and it was just like, this is smooth.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
you never heard anybody that really had that type of, bedroom voice, just kind of just.
Melt you.
I mean, it's just a monster. So, congratulations to Sade and her team for 40 years of this. And I have not got an opportunity to see them lately. I know a lot of you probably have had an opportunity to see them because they toured not too long ago.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what too long ago is, 10 years ago, not even that. So I would love to see them, but I've never seen them live. I've seen concert clips online of them, but I've never got an opportunity to see them.
Yeah, I've never seen her live either, but man, she's just awesome.
Yeah, and it's a great album. I mean, it's a great album, and it's man, it's pretty freaking awesome. It's it is what it is.
It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody loves Sade, like everybody.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, even Prince and I mean everybody. She got shout outs from everywhere.
Yep.
You want this next one?
We can get to it because there's actually a whole bunch that kind of go together, I guess. Now I think about it, we can kind of talk about it. Those of you
who to the new song,
yeah, those of you who are trying to figure out what's going on in the music industry, there's a lot of music coming out, but the first one, Anderson .Paak, come on. They're actually going to come out and do a full US tour this September and October from their 2016 album Malibu. So I think that's going to be an awesome show because that was an awesome album altogether. 2016, they're going to do a tour with that, and you can go out to like StubHub or one of those places to find list of the cities and the tickets. But they're going on tour, and that's what they're doing. I thought that was a good mention, and it's not with who, with our boy, because we've been doing so much. It's actually their first album. I think 2016 was one of their originals, right?
Yeah. So this is
I think that's
Atlanta. They're going to be in Atlanta on October 13th. So Anderson's going to be here on October 13th, and then they're going to Oregon, Washington. I guess that's the only thing they're doing down here in the Southeast is to hit Atlanta. And I think
everything else is everywhere else.
That's Lakewood. I was going to say that aligns with the One Music Fest because they have not announced who's playing at the One Music Fest, but that is in. That's
the other.
I'm trying to remember when One Music Fest is.
I have to look that up.
But I was waiting to see who's playing because the past two One Music Fests they've done in Atlanta was very, 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 very hip hop slighted, which I like hip hop, but doing a whole day of it, it's okay. It's just, I mean, for hip hop fans, it's amazing. It's incredible. Why would you want to be anywhere else? But in the last one that I did, I mean, it was different because it was the Dungeon Family reunion, and they had every single artist from the Dungeon Family in the mix. I mean, everybody was there. Including Andre 3000. I mean, they had Outkast there. They had everybody was there from Dungeon Family. Nobody was not there, which was unprecedented. And I happened to have 2 seats, and the person that was going to go with me, I don't even remember who was going to go with me, changed their mind. So I had to put my ticket up for sale, and the person bought the one seat next to me and paid more than I paid for both of the tickets. So basically the ticket that he bought paid for my ticket, and I got to get it was like, 10th row or whatever for free. And so I was like, all right. It doesn't always work out that way, but when it does,
it's good. Well, just so you guys know, the One Music Fest is in Piedmont Park, actually.
This year,
the 26th and 27th this year. So
yeah, last year it was in the previous years it's been in Lakewood, which is that's like down south of Atlanta, but it's like really, really spread out. But this time they're doing it in the middle of downtown Atlanta, which is gonna create a little bit of a nightmare. But we'll see what happens. I mean, they've done some other shows there before. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I want to quickly talk. I don't know if I want to talk about this yet or not. Since we're already talking about new music, let's
Well,
continue
let's
on.
talk about LL.
Yeah,
Cool J, man. Come on. Fans.
it's hot as. Sorry.
Right. Come on. Cool J, man. First album since 2013. It's been 11 years. He's got a new album coming out called The Force. And Force stands for Frequencies of Real Creative Energy. So I think that's pretty dope too. He's finally coming out with another one. And this one is produced by Q-Tip. And those
Which
of
is
you should know who Q-Tip is, but if you don't, from a tribe called Quest. So there you go. It's gonna be 14 songs, I guess, but that should be dope because everyone loves LL, man. Especially after he came out with "I Need Love." That was it. Everybody said
and let me tell you, this is how, and I told you before, this is how I remember where I am in certain times. Somebody say, "Hey, where were you in?" Where were you in 84? Where were you in 85? Or, and I was like, well, it kind of really depends on what album came out like at the time you're talking about.
right.
And if they say, well, LL Cool J's "I'm Bad," and I was like, I was in
That
New
was
Jersey.
it. I'm Bad was it.
I was up in New Jersey, in New York area. So that's where I was when that album came out. And I was driving I don't even remember what car I was driving. It was like a Corolla or something like that, like old school. This is 80s, old school. It was
Yeah, I
old
had a
school.
Corolla.
And I had cassette. I had that cassette. I'm Bad. That cassette on repeat forever,
Dude.
and
I played that single out. I was
but that
walking down the street with my boombox, feeling bad.
yeah, that song took me a little, it took me a little bit of getting used to, but I mean, I liked it, and all the girls loved it, so I was like, okay, I'm cool with it. We're fine.
Oh yeah. That's when you were scratching in the air because you weren't a DJ. And if you're interested, one of the records is out from it. A video, you can check it out. It's called Passion on YouTube. It's already out. So yeah, go check that out, man. It's pretty dope.
There it is, and there's the 14 tracks that are going to be on the album as well. Spirit of Cyrus featuring Snoop Dogg. They got a bunch of guests on here too. He's got Snoop Dogg on here, Rick Ross, Fat Joe. I'm not familiar with Sona Jorbate, Saweetie, Busta Rhymes, Nas, Eminem. I mean, this is going to be.
It's Cool J. Come on,
it's out now. Is this already out? Oh, it's out. No. It doesn't come out September 6th.
Right, it's coming out.
We're talking about this way in advance. We need to talk about the one album that's not on this list that we did not do a shout out for, and that was Common and Pete Rock released their album that just released like a week or two ago.
That's right.
You should definitely check that out because it's a really, really cool laid back album for you old school hip hop heads. It's a really, really good album. It's got that flow. It's got that flow. So if you're an old school hip hop fan, kind of like trying to think of what would be a good example, like Blowout Comb, if that may take folks back a little bit. But kind of that vibe, that it's just,
Yeah.
And it's got that vibe.
I like it, man. That's dope. We also talking about something we didn't shout out to last week. Actually, I guess it's kind of old news now because we were so busy. But Childish Gambino, his new song came out, dropped I guess a week ago or so. Lithonia, and if you check that out, it's rock. It's a rock song. It is a rock song.
Alternative rock. Yeah, it's very, very.
Hey, you can categorize it in light skin, black, dark skin. It's still a rock song. It's a rock song.
Yeah, it is. It's an alternative rock song. It's not like rock. It's definitely alternative. I could see it easily fitting somewhere in the stuff that was coming out in the 90s. But for those of you who don't know, Lithonia is a town here in Georgia, and that's where he's from. He's from here. And Donald Glover has done a lot of stuff here, and he just kind of blew up. But I don't know what his recipe was or how he had made the plan to do exactly everything that he did. But I mean, dude seemed like come out of nowhere. I mean, it was like nobody heard of Donald Glover, and then all of a sudden there was this TV series called Atlanta that was on, and then he was putting out music as Childish Gambino, and
Yeah, but he was also out before then on a TV series, Community.
right.
I think it was called Community too. So I mean, he's been around doing things, but he just didn't know.
Oh yeah, nobody knew. It was just like it just seemed like he just kind of just came out of the woodwork, and it was just whew. So
Yeah.
congrats. I mean, it's really, really cool that he's got a brand new album out. And it's actually a remake of a previous album
Right.
that he had back from 2018. I took my daughter Jolie to go see Childish Gambino, Donald, to see him at Gwinnett Arena, and they actually released a bunch of tracks from that album via MP3 to all ticket holders, and we got to hear it
Nice.
before, because he said, I want you to listen to this music before you come to the show so that you can like hang out and sing along and whatever, so that I'm not playing a bunch of stuff that you don't know, which I think is really good marketing.
Very smart.
And he put it out like probably a few weeks before the show, so gave everybody a good chance to be able to listen to the tracks, and now all those tracks have been revised, and it's worth it.
And I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I think I talked about the album, but I didn't talk about this single just came out. So, but yeah, a few weeks ago, I guess, maybe a month ago. I don't know. But dope for him.
Yeah, dope for him. All right, so we got we do have a few more. We talk about let's talk about Usher.
Oh yeah. I mean, by now everybody's seen it and heard everything, but I did want to mention that he got his Lifetime Achievement Award. Again, we didn't talk about the news last week; we didn't have time. But a lot of that speech was muted, and there was this whole thing about censored and whatever. But it turned out it was just it was a sound issue. That's what it was, and they admitted it. They apologized. However, just know that there were parts of his speech that were censored, and that should have been anyways, because he did, bring out some language in his being real excitement, because he
why
even
was it necessary? Why is that even necessary with him? I mean,
I don't know, like
necessary.
He said it right from the beginning. He said, "There's no speech. I'm just going to speak from the heart." And you know what? When you get passionate about stuff comes out. Like that's the real him coming out. People may not believe that or know that, but I mean, that's what it is. Fortunately, if you go back and check it out, it's actually a pretty good speech. It's not garbage. His language is more of an internal thing than lashing out at anyone, so to speak. It's a pretty good speech.
All right, cool. All right, we got a couple more. We got a couple more to talk about, and then we'll go into the purple news. Because and these two kind of go together in a way. Because all right. So when you put this last one in the mix, this Verizon one in the mix, I could not make any sense of what this was about at all. Like I had to reread it to try to understand, why are they being sued now? I don't understand why they're being sued. Do you want to explain this, or do you want me to take a stab at it?
Yeah. So what's happening? I mean, we can both kind of put our pieces together, but basically what's happening is Verizon's being sued by record labels, and it's Sony, UMG, Warner, and I think there's a few others, and it's like 2.6 billion, upwards of that amount. And the reason is because their claim allegedly intentionally allowing copyright violations to profit. So basically what's happening is they've been notified multiple thousands of times about people with doing copyright infringement, and they're not doing anything about it. They're allowing their people to share music and do all these things that they shouldn't be doing. That is clear infringement of copyright. And so the labels are like, we're tired of it. We're suing you. Can you hear us now? That's pretty much in a nutshell what it is.
Yeah. Okay. And that was the part that didn't make sense, because they're not content creators. They're not. All they do is provide a bandwidth service in order to move data from one location to another, whether it be to your cell phone, whether it be if you're watching TV and you happen to have them for your home internet provider or your work or whatever. That's all that they do. That's
Exactly.
all that they focus on is
That's
just
it.
providing a bandwidth service that they're not content creators, and of course, cell phones.
Right.
So
And so I think
the
what's
problem
hurting them
is
is, or again, not a lawyer, but is the fact that they state in their policies that, it must be yours. The standard copyright, don't do this or you get in trouble, grr, but they're not doing anything about it. And that's what it is. Their users are clearly uh, doing it, and they've been served or notified, and it actually said hundreds of thousands of notices about various users who are clearly infringing on that. And so I'm
right.
just like,
So, and I guess that's where the problem is, because if
that's
you use them for a cell phone service, because they obviously brag about having the fastest internet connections anywhere, which I will tell you, in my area, I had Verizon for a very long time, and that was not the case. It was horrible. I mean, it was okay, but it was just so unreliable. It was going out all the time, and I switched to AT&T and DirecTV, and I have not looked back in like over a year and a half, and literally cut my bill in half, and my speeds are like 2 times faster. I have all my I was actually also able to drop uh, Comcast and everything because I'm able to do everything from here.
yeah,
Uh,
but
but they brag about their speeds, and that's why a lot of people that do this kind of activity where they're like, it's not like LimeWire doesn't exist anymore, and what was the other big
yeah,
one,
yeah,
Napster. Those guys don't exist anymore, but there are still a lot of P2P services that are out there that rely on super fast connections that they can get these files back and forth. And
yeah.
this is the stuff that Prince fought against too. And if these people are on your network and they're receiving, cease and desist, and you guys aren't like cutting off their accounts and letting them continue to do what they're doing, that's where the problems come in. So
Right. And again, this is Verizon. You're talking about the internet service piece, so because now they are encompassing, but when they were their fastest, it was phone. It wasn't internet. I don't care what they say. I don't think Verizon's ever dominated internet stuff, but their phone service was really that good. Now, it's, whatever. But yeah, so
yeah, so there's that.
crap
And
rolls downhill. Just think about that as people are doing, doing what they do, So I think Verizon's answer is going to be to crack down on people and pay more attention. It's going to have to be because 2.6 billion it's no joke.
yeah. All right, we only got one more piece of regular news, and then we're going to go into the purple news.
Yeah,
So
it's another lawsuit thing,
it
actually.
is.
So
Yeah, it's
finally, we got Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music. The big three are suing over Canada's 5% streaming tax. Okay, so basically, what's happening is, um, as a streaming service, they have to pay 5%. Canada's levying 5% of their money to pay for Canadian broadcast system. And they're suing over that 5% because they think that's outrageous and too much. So expect those prices for music. Hey, for all you fans in Canada who are Funkatopians, you guys in Canada, you can pretty much expect that prices are going to start going up. Whatever you're paying for your streaming services now, things are probably going to change because they've already done it in France. They've gone up for services. I think it's going to happen. So
I just think it's interesting that um,
the
companies
three
like
that don't pay people.
companies like Spotify, who are ripping off artists left and right,
I
are
know, right?
complaining about this ridiculous shit here because it doesn't make any sense. It
I
really
agree.
doesn't. I mean, you got Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music, all three of which do not have anything in place to really protect the artist and you really get them paid for their work.
Yes.
And and I think it's bad enough already. It's not like they don't have any room, to
Exactly.
lower the prices for people in Canada, to offset this or whatever, for if they're really concerned about keeping,
I know. And they're not fighting for that money for the artists. Like they're not doing that, but they're fighting for it for themselves. So there's another one.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is
doesn't.
ridiculous. There's a lot of information out there. Just look up Canada's 5% streaming tax. and you'll pretty much get all the scoop there. So
Well, and that just said Amazon, Spotify, and Apple Music, which are all music. Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Music. They're all music places. But if it's a streaming tax, then most likely it will also apply to Netflix and Hulu and whatever else you have as well. I mean, if there's a streaming thing that's going on. But I don't
Yeah.
understand why Canada would be charging a 5% tax like they have control over every single. I don't know what the streaming service situation is in Canada. Is it like only one streaming provider in Canada? I mean, do you guys not have a variety of people to choose from? I don't understand how
Right.
Canada is going to apply a 5% streaming tax to everything that's streamed across the board. It's
Yeah,
really-
that's what I was trying to make heads or tails of. And apparently, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but apparently into Canada, there is a specific streaming service and it all goes to the Canadian broadcast service. It's all a part of one big thing. And
Right.
so however that's supposed to come together, man, it's so,
It's
maybe
weird.
we're missing some details because, we're right there, but not there. So anybody any of you Canadians who know specifically any good detail, yeah, share it. Why not?
So, all right, let's move into some purple news. We know that's what you guys want, so let's do it. This, I don't even know where my app went to. It just kind of disappeared. There it is. So everybody knows, we all know and love the Funked Up app, obviously, our ASCAP licensed Funked Up app, where if you miss any shows like the Purple Rain Roundtable, like the interview with Mark Cardinus, like the 40-year anniversary of the time, or tonight's free for all, or next week's special show with Jesse Johnson. If you miss any of those shows, you can just go download the Funked Up app, this amazing Funked Up app, and it has been reworked and remodeled and reworked and reworked multiple times because it's literally always being worked on. It's always being figured out. We had some weird thing that happened this over the past week where the album art stopped appearing on the songs on the Uptown Radio side of things. So, but that has kind of been resolved. But unfortunately, we're going to have to make some modifications. So there may be a little bit of less of the lesser known tracks, if you know what I mean, in order to kind of make sure that we kind of keep compliance and, just make sure we're in compliance. We don't want to be in any litigious situation either. So we're making a bunch of adjustments, but one of the things I wanted to make sure that you were aware of is that on the next app release, there will be the capability for Patreon supporters. Only Patreon supporters will have the option to be able to request songs.
Mm.
So you have to be a Patreon supporter in order to, yes. You go to patreon.com/Funkatopia and you can sign up there. And it's really, really cool because I do a lot of things anyways, but you guys will have the capability to be able to actually request songs on the new version of the app coming.
I think what you were telling them or mentioning before is not only can you request the song, but if everything's still going the way it was, you also would know when the song is coming up, right? Is that's still available?
Yes. Yes. So when you,
even
because I actually have it in my test mode because we are in, we're working through, myself and Michael are working through the tests of this. And basically what you do is you do the request, you click request song, and then you start typing in the song, and you don't have to worry about typing it right because it will autofill a drop down showing you all the songs that are there. And then you can just pick it. And then once you pick the song, then it goes into the system and it will tell you, it will say your song will play between 8:15 and 8:25 PM your time or whatever. So if you're just like, oh, I don't want to miss my song, you're saying whatever, it literally tells you when the song is going to play, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's not like, when you normally request a song from a DJ and you're just like, I don't know when this is ever going to play. This is,
I think it's awesome because think about whenever you request anything.
Yeah,
at least it's not like your song will play between 1 and 4 a.m.
Yeah,
Not a
no.
4-hour window of waiting for.
It's like a 15-minute window or something like that. I mean,
That's
and
good.
normally and we're it's gonna be an experiment in the first part of it because obviously, you know, we have to have some type of control that some nutbag doesn't go in there and request like Kiss 5 times in a row.
Oh, yeah.
So there's like a bunch of things that we're kind of working through and trying to figure out, you know, what you can do and what you can't do, how many times, you know, per day that you can request a song, just to kind of make sure that, you know, there's some spacing in there, just so you're not kind of going in there willy-nilly and just creating a playlist for yourself. That's not how it works.
Right.
Because also when that happens, when you were able to create an entire playlist for yourself like that, then the ASCAP license rules change also, because when the listener has control over what's playing, it changes the ball game
It
completely.
becomes
On the
music
pricing
on.
side.
It becomes streaming on demand, and an on-demand service
That is
is
like
a whole
3x
different
the
animal.
price. That
Yes.
is, yeah, it'd be 3x the price, and then we'd have and we it wouldn't be feasible. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
we're making ends meet right now in order to bring you the app, and paying those ASCAP licensing fees. So if we were to do something that's like that, it wouldn't be sustainable.
right.
But we want to be able to let you request songs, at least, you know, one song every, you know, few hours or something. You know, if you got a song that's on your mind, you just have to just, you know, strategically think about your plan. It's like, well, how are you going to keep non-Patreon people from requesting? Well, we have something in place for that too. It's a specific thing that you're going to need from the Patreon side, and we'll tell you. It's
And that's the thing. So the whole point of what Mr. Christopher is doing and what we're trying to do at Funkatopia is give and share and grow the legacy. Basically, you know, here it is, and here you can have it too. When things start getting locked down and when certain things stop working or certain things break, most of the time it's because somebody's trying to beat the system. It's because somebody's trying to do something and ooh, and you know, you get you get an inch, you push a mile, you know, the whole nine, just pushing it. So
yeah,
just take what you're getting and enjoy it. Don't get too greedy with it, and then everybody gets to enjoy it. That's really what it all boils down to.
yeah, exactly. So, actually, Catherine is asking, where can you download the app? You can go onto the Google Play Store, or you can go into the Apple Store and just search for Funkatopia, or search for Funked Up, FUNKEDUP. So Funked Up or Funkatopia, and you'll find it there. Just download the app. It is readily available and it is free to use, but there's going to be some functionality that's going to be added over time that is going to be a lot cooler. That is going to be an advantage for people who actually support Funkatopia via Patreon, and so that we can continue paying these ASCAP licensing fees and manage to be legit. Keep it legit. We want everything to be legit.
That's
So,
right.
all right. So this next piece of information is came out a week ago, and I think many of you had already seen it, but you know, it bears. We haven't really discussed it. So we're going to go into the next two pieces of news relate to, actually the next three pieces of
Three,
news.
actually.
The next three pieces of news are estate related stuff.
Yeah.
So we will start here. The first thing is the case because, and we're going to start here because it's the oldest news. So we're going to start here. And that is Prince's former business advisors win key ruling in the ongoing estate lawsuit. Now, as many of you know, what had happened is that, you know, the Prince's former business advisors that you all know as Lundell McMillan and Charles Spicer were being sued by the heirs of Prince's estate. The heirs being Sharon and Noreen Nelson, Brianna and Alan Nelson. There's like, I don't know who all was really attached to the piece, but there basically was a case that was moving forward that they were trying to get them out. They were trying to get them out of that position. And because they kind of felt like it'd be better in the hands of the family instead of, you know, being in the hands of, you know, Lundell and Charles, and you know, they weren't going after primary wave. They were going after Lundell Charles portion of it because they wanted to be able to kind of control things.
Right. Again, they're the advisors for the Prince from Prince Legacy LLC.
Right. So the problem is that the when the estate was kind of separated out, there was a 50% interest that kind of went to 6 of his siblings. And Macmillan and Spicer kind of, were helping them through the probate process and everything. And unfortunately, I guess what had happened is that Sharon Nelson really felt like she had been cheated and taken advantage of,
Tricked and duped.
tricked and duped and whatever else.
Yeah.
But the end of the whole thing is that as far as the decision was concerned, the decision reads, and I'm just reading it from the page here. It says, one of the heirs, Sharon Nelson, came to regret this decision and inserted herself into management decisions by demanding, for example, that the entire staff of the Paisley Park Museum be replaced. And when Macmillan and Spicer did not acquiesce to her demands, Sharon led the defendants' efforts to remove Macmillan and Spicer as managing members by amending the LLC agreement. It says the lawsuit also claims that both Sharon and Brianna Nelson attempted to sell their shares to Primary Wave, which it basically, and I could read this, but what that does is that Primary Wave currently is in a 50-50 divide. So you have Londell Macmillan and the heirs, and then you have Primary Wave who owns the other 50%. So it's 50 on this side, 50 on this side. All the stuff that you guys are making issues of, as far as we want new music, we want this change, we want that change, we want this, that, and the other. Those types of arrangements and those types of decisions are made by Primary Wave. Primary Wave is the one that has the control over the music. They are the ones that have control over the music. They're the ones that have control over the licensing. They have control over all of that stuff.
And depending on a song and what other avenues that song has taken, there may be other entities that have to also approve. So it becomes more than just a Primary Wave decision. It has to go down the chain of people or of groups with certain songs.
And technically, it's actually, depending on what the situation, it's actually in reverse of that. Because if Londell and Macmillan want to do something specifically with, doing commercials or releasing the rights to specific songs to a movie or whatever it is, they've got to go to Primary Wave to get that approval process. So there's things that going on, but the reality of this is that I know that there is a lot of haters for Londell and Spicer, and I don't know what to tell you guys. And because we've had this discussion before, that the things that you guys are mostly complaining about and really I'm not saying you guys here, I'm just saying that people are very animate and outspoken about online is really about the music, what's being released, how quickly it's being released, what's coming out, what's doing this. And a lot of the reasons that things aren't going the way they're supposed to be done is because of the fact that there is music that is in this catalog that still has licensing issues that are attached to it. Like the whole Under the Cherry Moon fiasco is because of the fact that the movie at one point in time traded hands like 4 or 5 times with different movie theaters and video distributors and stuff like that. So there's like all this extra added insanity that's kind of going in with it. And the problem is that, Sharon it seems like the sweetest person, but I know that neither her or Brianna have the capability, and I don't even remember how old they are, but they're old. They're older. No offense, but they're older. They're older. They're not in a position to be able to manage this situation, manage this. They're just not. And they were trying to get Londell and Charles out. And when that didn't work, they said, fine, what we'll do is we'll just, and of course, let's pause there. Let's pause there for a second. So when that was going on, everybody was up in arms and on their side and going, yeah, that's right. We need to do what's best for the estate. We need to do what's best for, this, that, and the other. And then instead of that being the end all, then they decided, we want to sell our shares to Primary Wave. Well, so now all of a sudden it's not about what's best for, not to say that that's not best for the Prince music world, but now they're talking about trying to sell their shares over to the estate to Primary Wave, and which would tip the scales and put Primary Wave's
shares, right?
shares over 50%, which would give them total control.
Deciding, yes.
And we've heard this before, where you get into a situation where you get a company that just wants to just pump out the music, which we would love to have, but we want it done in a way that is going to be, we want it done in a way that's going to be representative and responsible in the way that Prince's legacy is drawn out. So I've said this before. I'll go ahead and put a stake in the ground, and I know make some enemies in the process. I'm okay with that. I've learned to kind of bear the burden of it, because this is just an opinion. You guys know how protective I am of Prince's legacy. You can see it by what we do here.
Right.
Okay. This is what I do. I'm here representing his legacy every friggin' week. Matter of fact, every single day of the week.
There's something preparation
between the website, between the Facebook pages and the social media stuff that I do, between the shows that I put together every single week, between everything that I do. You guys know where I stand in regards to Prince. But I'm telling you, regardless of which way you may feel, you may not like Londell and Charles. That's okay. You don't have to like them. Right. But they do have a very, very, very good, solid legal prowess, you will, to kind of keep things at bay, more so than anybody that is that's holding the other shares. There has to be somebody like these two managing it, regardless of whether you like them or not. And you also need to have that Primary Wave piece that's only got a certain amount of control, that they're not going to do something insane where you're going to start seeing, Prince's music everywhere, willy-nilly with no legal recourse. And, where you're like, why is Prince's little red Corvette playing at a Trump rally campaign? Stuff like this, where it's just like, whoever, highest bidder, you can have the song. You have to have somebody that's going to have some type of control over it. And, and that's kind of where it's at.
Right.
I know that's not popular. I get it. I know that's not popular.
No, it can't be a popular opinion, because once you develop a feeling towards someone, especially negative, because negativity rules, it's hard to change your perspective of someone. And that's just the way it is. And unfortunately, in this situation, some people, no matter how good they do, even if they decide to do, I'm not saying they're doing great, I'm saying no matter what, they're still going to be hated. It just, damned if I do, damned if I don't. And that's the nature of certain positions, and that's where they sit right now. It doesn't matter what they do. They're going to be hated by somebody.
I'm going to go off track just for a second. Kyle Christian says, follow for now, ATL stand up. Yeah, baby. For those who don't know, follow for now is an ATL regional standard here in Atlanta. My band used to open up for them all the time, but man, oh my God. Yeah, follow for now, brother. Great band. Anyways, good question from Joni. So who got rid of the Graceland peeps? Elvis is the second highest deceased earner after Michael at 100 million. Well, first off, he says Prince is at 30 million. I don't know if where you got those numbers from or whatever. I honestly don't know. But here's what I can tell you. Elvis has been dead since the 70s. Right. So he's had a little bit of a run. He had almost a 50-year run ahead of on the deceased earning board. So there's that. There was a lot of issues that were going on with the way that they were running things and the way that they were kind of pumping out the material. I mean, pumping out the artifacts, and it wasn't really protected, which was really kind of unusual, because Graceland, if you ever been to Graceland, everything is like behind glass, or you can't touch it, you
down.
can't get close to it, you can't get locked. And that's not what was happening. Something different was happening with the way that Graceland was executing the museum, or whatever you want to consider Paisley Park at this point. So there was just something different being done, and it wasn't being done in a way that was really respectful of all the artifacts and the equipment and just everything. It just wasn't being protected. There was like lights that were being put on his guitars that were like really, really damaging lights. They were allowing people to sit and lie on top of Prince's piano and things like that. So there was like a bunch of things going on that Grayson was allowing that didn't make any sense. So that's the reason why it was just, they just kicked him to the curb. So as far as Michael is concerned, I can understand the Michael at 100 million scenario, but I also know that Neverland Ranch is not like a museum or anything. Aren't they selling it right now, or trying to find a buyer to sell Neverland Ranch? So there's not really any type of music stuff that's going in there. And the other thing too is that I don't know where those numbers come. It's got to be from music rights and everything else. Just because of the fact that Michael Jackson doesn't have a museum, but all this stuff is like for licensing and this, that. And I mean, there probably is like independent museums, but I'm not talking about, you can't go to like Neverland Ranch and walk around, as far as I know.
Yeah.
It's just,
and I'm sure he wasn't bootlegged as much either.
right, because there wasn't that much to bootleg, because we've talked about this many times before, that if you played every single bit of Michael Jackson's music, starting from the Jackson 5 all the way until his passing, it takes less than a day to go through his entire catalog from when he was a child to when he passed away. With Prince, it takes over 4.5 days. It's insane. And Casey Rain even said it on Twitter when I asked him, I said, how much unreleased material does Michael Jackson have in the vault? And he goes, maybe 2 or 3 albums worth, maybe. And there's probably nothing really that's really kind of cohesive enough about it to kind of maybe create an album. They'd have to kind of,
they'd have to make it make sense somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get us wrong. We're not saying that it's not great. I mean, it may have been a much smaller catalog. It was a brilliant catalog. So, but that's not the point. The point is the amount is night and day. Huge difference.
Yeah. So. Definitely a huge difference. So, and all right, so let's move on to the second.
Shall we?
Let's move on to the second piece of estate news. Okay, so as many of you may or may not know, July 27th was the official release date of Purple Rain, the movie. Okay, we've celebrated the 40-year anniversary of Purple Rain, the soundtrack, but the movie comes out July 27th, which is next week and a few days. So about a week and a half away from now. And the first one, so we were like, what's going to be done? We heard that something was coming. And we didn't know exactly what it would be. And we found out that Paisley Park decided to put out a little bit of, I'm going to pull this up. Basically, Paisley Park is creating a movie theater within Paisley Park. And they're going to be playing Purple Rain, the movie, in 4K. And you're going to be able to watch the film. And they're having a whole event between 6 and 9:30 on that Saturday, July 27th. And you'll be able to go into Paisley Park and actually do a walkthrough tour and movie screening. And you can get more information, obviously, at paisleypark.com. And they have all this stuff. And they said it's a purple carpet event. Obviously, if you didn't have an opportunity to make it to the celebration, you already saw the movie in 4K. So you probably, unless you really want to be there for the iconic date of this event, Paisley Park is doing this.
Yeah,
and of course.
Yeah, because even if you saw it during the celebration, you didn't see Purple Rain in Paisley Park. So
and none of it was shot in Paisley Park anyways. I mean, there's not really significance of it being played in Paisley Park because Paisley Park wasn't even created yet. Right. However, it's still iconic to be sitting in Prince's house watching and I say house loosely. Don't people get freaked out? He slept there many a night.
Airbnb.
Or so we heard. I don't think I've ever, the only time I think I've ever seen Prince asleep was one time when he had a picture when he had his head in his hands.
Yes.
And then the other time when he was laying in the bed with Mai Tai, but that was probably just for the photo shoot when they were in their pajamas. So anyways, so this is what Paisley Park did. And of course, this right here, this Paisley Park Cinema Presents Purple Rain is approved by the estate. Okay. This is approved by the estate. So I'm just going to leave that there. This right here, the Paisley Park one, is the one that is approved by the estate. So there's no problems here. It says, come celebrate the 40th anniversary of Purple Rain by watching the film at Paisley Park. Doors open at 6. Do a walkthrough tour for an hour from 6 to 7. And the film starts at 7:30. It's going to be food and beverages available for purchase, and there's limited on-site parking available. You just basically go. The tickets are a little bit up there. It's an 18+ event. That's because of the rating of the movie.
Yeah.
Tickets are a little bit up there in price. I don't remember what the price is. Let's go ahead and click on it.
Yeah, I think the tickets were like 40
are you
something.
still seeing this get tickets page now that I've clicked through? Is it?
What's that?
Are you seeing the pricing right now?
I'm not seeing it. It's not showing up, but I do
Okay,
think
it shows you haven't said. There you go. I see it now.
okay.
So for GA, $43.15. If you want to park on site, it's $27.63. So it is up there. So it's $43 to go to this event.
And $30
but again,
for parking.
Right, correct. But again, that is if you want to see it at Paisley Park and you want to hang out with a bunch of princely folks and you want to do a walkthrough and all that, then you can do it. And Paisley Park has got an event that is, again, ordained by the estate. Ordained by the estate. Ordained. I said ordained. Ordained by the estate.
Oh.
They're carrying it. They're cool. They're like, fine. Yes, go ahead. All good. However, what would the world be without a little bit of conflict and whatnot?
Controversy.
All right. So there was another event that popped up just what was it, last week? No, the 9th. So yeah, it was about a week ago. And they are also doing, and this I'm only showing this just in case we have folks that have other issues with this. Purple Rain is going to be screened at the Target Center, which is kind of across from where First Avenue is, smack in the middle of downtown Minneapolis, on the 40th anniversary of the movie's release, and it's going to be played. It is going to be played in Target Center. Now you're like, why would you want to sit all the way up in the nosebleeds and watch a movie in the Target Center? Well, now here's something different. Now I want to address that because they were talking about putting the movie on multiple
the
Jumbotron thing, and I guess they're figuring out a different way to do this. And the thing about this is it says, and this is where it's a little deceiving because it says members of Prince's estate will host a screening of the movie at Target Center on July 27th. Again, which was the exact date of the movie theaters hit nationwide in 1984. And the pricing is obviously a little bit different. Reserved seats will cost $19.99. You can get it at access.com, AXS.com. And you can also get VIP tickets available for $199.90, basically $19.99 with zero on the end of it, which will come with seats on the arena floor. So there must also be one screen that is playing on the floor like a normal type of movie setup, and then the Jumbotron thing, which is a little bit different, whatever. So you'll get seats on the floor of the arena, a souvenir, and a post-screening reception. And Target Center will be halved for the event, so you're not going to have the whole entire Target Center. It's just going to be half of it. And this is Sharon that's doing this. And her quote is, "We are thrilled to commemorate the 40th anniversary of Purple Rain, a film that continues to resonate with audiences worldwide. Prince's eldest sister, Sharon Nelson, said in a statement. This event is a heartfelt tribute to Prince's unparalleled talent and the lasting impact of his artistry. And so they are doing an event and there's supposed to be some other guests and people that were involved with Purple Rain, the movie, appearing after it, or I don't know exactly.
Like there's a pre and a post thing. So
Yeah. So that all being said, is that
two events.
one event, there's two events for the See It, the Purple Rain movie, and I'm kind of curious how this is going to play out, because once again, we're talking about licensing to show this movie. So to try to figure out, so this is the part that I'm not comprehending exactly how the licensing works on this, because if it's not ordained by the estate, even though she's a member of the state, she's not overseeing that part of it.
Right. She doesn't have final decision.
She has no oversight over the licensing of this movie. So I'm trying to see exactly how this is going to pan out. This is kind of one of those things where, am I going to buy a ticket and am I going to fly out here to Target Center and everything, and then it's going to get canceled and they're going to give us our money back because they're not allowing them to air it because it's not. But see, that's also dangerous for the estate as well, because then if that something like that does happen, then everybody was like, see, this is what's happening.
It puts a negative light on
this is what the estate does, is, they don't want to do anything, they can't make their money, blah 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 blah, so they're shutting things down, and da 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 da. And it's like, okay, well, first off, if I don't know. So I just kind of feel like, this is going to be I had heard some of the things that they were talking about for the Target scenario, and we knew the Target thing was coming a while back. I knew the Target thing was coming a while back. Let's just put it that way. Well, but then the estate was quick to act and said, no, we're going to do an ordained one here at the estate. This is the one that is okay, checkmarked by the estate. So this is, we're doing this one. We're doing this one right here. This is the one we're doing. And the estate got theirs out beforehand, which was, I don't know how ticket sales are going with the Purple Rain movie at Target Center, but Target Center is huge. Can somebody look up Target Center in Minneapolis and see what the seating
how big
is?
that is. It's huge.
And then divide it in half, because they're saying they're halving it. But that's, how much money does that cost? Because you have to also pay for licensing in order to show a movie. I did a Prince cruise. I did a Prince cruise many years ago. I'm not going to divulge who it was that put it on, and it wasn't the whole cruise. Wasn't Prince. It was just, there was a group of Prince fans, and we all went on a cruise, and we just did Prince activities the whole time. And the person that was running it wanted to show the movie in one of the clubs or whatever that was not open for a particular night. And we sat and watched Purple Rain in a club on a cruise ship, but she had to pay like a lot of money to do that.
Right.
So you're trying to figure out, okay. So Francis says the Target Center can hold up to 25,500. And so half of that would be 12,500. So you need 12,000 tickets to make this work at the Target Center.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Again, we don't know what, maybe they're sectioning off and they only have so much of it. Maybe there's something funky specifically. I don't know. But this is going to be interesting to see.
It's
and I don't know if you noticed, but the two events, they also stagger each other. So they're not at the exact same time. There's kind of some overlap. So there's a couple of hours. You know what I mean? Like there's window of time between the two events. The Paisley Park is from 6 to 9:30, and then the other one at the Target Center is from 4 to 8. So there's this. I don't know. It's an interesting battle. I think when you have two groups that both want to do this thing and they're fighting, it can become a good thing, and it can become a bad thing. You
But
know, like
only
it can
one
be
of them but only one of them can do it legally by
right.
the way the licensing rules stand right now.
Right. So we run into this situation like where is it, how is this going to be handled? I don't know anything about what's going on behind the scenes legally of how anybody's acquiring or getting permission to do anything, but we do know that it's probably not very easy at this point, especially with Paisley Park doing it on the same day.
Well,
So,
it's everything is happening all at once too. I mean,
yeah.
because you had this whole court case that was going on between those 2, between Sharon and the heirs and Londell and Charles, that they just won this, and then they kinda it's like as soon as the court case was decided on, it was like they ran right out to do this Target Center to put together this Target Center thing, which there's licensing plays that are in play here. I
Yeah, but
just
I mean,
there
but you
are
don't know
there
what the
are
situation is.
involved. I know there were some people involved with the Target Center thing that I mean are there's good people that are there, but there's something else that's going on that's obviously just like, fine, I'll do this then. Fine, I'll do this then.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Absolutely.
It's just too much. It's
It does. It
but
does seem like that.
you have 2 options to go see Purple Rain.
That's
You
it.
can go to the estate ordained show at Paisley Park, which would probably be a really cool, more intimate event, and the acoustics and the sound in there is going to be insane and off the hook. And you get to hang out in Princess House and watch the movie
And do a tour.
and do a tour and do an hour tour, or you can go to Target Center, which is probably just as cool to be able to be in a venue that big and be able to, but it's only going to be cool if they can manage to sell thousands and thousands of tickets in order to make it like it was a worthwhile type of event. And I just think they just kind of waited.
Yeah, it's a huge venue. So, there's nothing worse than seeing a huge venue with only a few people, even though that few people would feel huge at somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Because
So
even if you sold 4,000 tickets, if you
it's
got
gonna seem
4,000 people that are sitting in a half arena that's not even half full,
yeah. So I mean,
and
I
there's
don't know how
no
they quarantine or separate the basketball arena section of it. So
yeah. So
I
there's
don't know.
that. All
I've
right,
I
let
personally have never been inside the Target Center, so I can't speak to anything or even guess what it would look like. I've never been in there.
yeah. So I don't. I've been inside the Target Center. What do we see there? Oh, they did one of the celebrations there at the Target Center. They had when they did the Prince live on the big screen, which I think was the first thing that you encountered, but you encountered it at Paisley Park.
Right.
They did it on a much grander scale in Target Center, and it was off the chain. It
Yeah, I
was
didn't
like
get any
literally,
of
it
it.
was just. I mean, the whole Target Center was full. I mean, there were still seats that could be had, but it was a very very full event, and it was very very cool. All right, last purple news bit, and this last purple news bit, I see you guys already actively talking about it here, so we'll go ahead and
Yeah,
just
we're not ignoring you. We're just
we're not
we're gonna
ignoring it.
get
We're just yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get to it now, which is obviously a lot of people have been wondering what's happening with this Netflix event. What's happening with this Netflix event? Now I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that the Prince documentary on Netflix has been a cluster for a while. I mean, obviously, it originally started out with Ava DuVernay doing it, and it was really, really cool. And that was like back in 2017 when they first started thinking about, all right, let's start. We're going to need to do this. This is going to be great, and everybody was excited that she was involved, and it was going to be really, really well done. And I don't think she liked the direction that I guess I don't know who was writing what or who was doing what, but I don't know if it was just too much or she didn't like the direction of it, so she stepped away. The
Mhm.
last thing that I had heard about this Netflix situation was that there was some conflict of interest between them wanting to focus on the negative side of, insert some of the negative components of Prince's life, that the estate just wasn't really too keen on them showing.
Right.
It's like we want to keep this, but I think that's too heavy-handed. I think just tell the story. If it's true, if regardless of whether it's negative or not, I mean, if it's true, it's true. I don't dislike James Brown any less because of the fact that he was you know, musically as a musician, just because he was a womanizer and a coke addict and just all that. I don't. And he was an alcohol, like all those things. It doesn't make a difference. Same thing with Elvis Presley being a quote unquote drug addict. I mean, he was, but you know, it doesn't take away from the legend that is the musician. So it just depends on the delicacy at which you present the information. If you're not presenting it in like a TMZ type of way, where it is really just disparaging to Prince, that's not going to work. You know, if there's truth in it, fine, it's okay to tell it, but you need to do it with kid gloves because it's not fair to his legacy. So I can see that. But now we find out that that's not what was going on. What the reason why it's at a standstill at this point is because of the fact that Netflix is sitting on a 9 hour,
Right.
a 9-hour documentary on Prince. 9 hours are done. And from what I read this article, and basically it is done. The new director, Ezra Edelman, has pretty much, he's still got some tweaks and stuff that he needs to do to kind of make sure it's working the way that it needs to work or whatever. But he did 9 hours, and it's basically like a director's cut. But apparently the original agreement was only for 6.
Right.
And so because it was only for 6, Prince's estate will not sign off on it. They don't want to, it's been years in the making, like it says in the article. And because it's been I want to say it's been like 6-7 years. It's been 6-7 years in the making. And now it's 9 hours. The estate does not want 9 hours. They want 6 hours, but Ezra is pretty much putting his foot down and going, look,
So
I'm confident that the compromise can be worked out, but I am not interested in creating a truncated version of what we've done here that is a 9-hour film. And I think you got to do 9 hours in order to make it to cover life. You have to.
I'm gonna say this. So on both these points, I gotta. So first of all, 'cause we jumped past it a little bit, but like you said, there's the issue of it was the old issue of thinking it was about negativity and people saying they can handle it and all that. I have a kind of flip side to that, kind of a devil's advocate. I don't know what you want to call it, but I do agree with there are some levels of there's some negativity that we can handle, people can handle things. But on the flip side of that, if you are responsible for protecting someone's name in the state, there are some things that you may not want out because it is more than what you think you can handle. So because we don't know, for everyone to just go, I can handle negative, you don't know what you know or what you can handle. And sometimes I think, and if you look at any political or any other series of anything, people have been protected from the worst or from some very negative stuff that we've never heard of for that very reason. So I think that it's not unreasonable for them to want to protect his name and not let some things out. I don't think they should hide all because we know it's not rainbows and Skittles, but I believe there's still some things that they may be protecting. So I have a hard time with I can handle anything because I can't. There are some things where I may have loved everything about what you're doing, but then I hear this and I go, what the, you know what I mean? That's just being real. Now,
also in the article, the article also does say that it's not just the length of it, but it's the inaccuracies. And we actually said, okay.
Now, well, no, but the length. Let me speak to the length thing. It was an agreement of 6 hours. It went 9. Dude is like, I don't care. This is what it is. But I'm sorry if this is my thing and we signed a legal agreement. I said 6. You cannot have 9. So on a legal standpoint, I agree with that. Like, this is what we said. This is what we agreed on. This is what the contract said. I don't care what anybody wants to argue with me. If I said 6, it's 6. You create 9, you need to cut that down. That's it. That's it.
But I don't see, I was reading this article and what I do not see is what the issue is with the, because it doesn't say, what's the issue in it being 9? Are they going to be required to pay this director more money for the extra 3 hours? Is it going? They have to pay Netflix for the additional hours. What is it that is causing so much of an issue of it being 9 hours as opposed to 6?
Right.
If I say I am contracting you to make me six bagels that are that are the most amazing bagels I've ever had, and you come and you give me 9 instead, I'm like, oh snap! Thank you.
Let me flip that. You gave me you said, hey, here's my credit card. You can spend $1,000 and buy something. And I decided, I'm gonna spend $1,500 because I really get the full impact of what I wanted. You can't. We don't know what the difference between 6 and 9 is, but a contract is a contract is a contract, and it's there for a reason. They said 6,
Understood.
you went to 9. I think it's a legit argument.
But there has to be, I understand that it's a legit argument from a contractual standpoint, but what is the harm in it being 9? Because you're getting 3 hours more content on the estate that you are representing.
Yeah.
So
there may be something to
it's
it.
more content. I think that there is, because the other part of this that I did see in here is that they also had issues, and I'll highlight it here, also had issues with the inaccuracies about the famously private subject. Because we have found, and not just here, and not just in stories and everything else that we've seen, in interviews that I've done with a lot of people that were in Prince's life, who notoriously were quiet, never really said much of anything, never really, came out, were very, very private individuals. Now, all of a sudden that Prince is dead, they're able to kind of make up stories about where they were and who they, what was said and what decisions were made and what, it's Prince is not here to defend anything that's being said. And there's a lot of people that are telling stories that are inaccurate.
Correct.
And I've let people come on this show and I've done interviews and I've said in my head, that's inaccurate based on what I know from this other person and this person who I trust a little bit more than you.
Right.
But I'm not going to confront you on this and call you a liar on my show or call you to the carpet. But there's a lot of stories that are being told that are inaccurate. Like,
correct.
We honestly don't know what kind of stories are being told in this 9-hour documentary.
True.
So
No.
my guess is that the estate probably wants some type of balance of, hey, why don't you shave out these inaccuracies? Here are the inaccuracies that we know, and let's see if it gets closer to 6. Maybe that's where, because that's the other thing
That would
too.
be great.
That's the other thing too, is that you don't want it in this case, is you don't want to be a documentarian that puts out the documentary that's full of errors or that's full of stuff that's mistruths and, hearsay.
Exactly. If it's
not right.
Yeah, if it's not verified or verifiable, it shouldn't be in there. When you're talking about an artist, and that's the bottom line. So yeah, I agree with you. If there's going to be any type of adjustment or amendment to the contract, they really need to determine, is it these pieces of information really don't need to be there? This is inaccurate. That's where you start, because you have to trim the fat. They're clearly going to have to trim the fat. He can fight all he wants, but there's a lot at stake here and a lot of money and a lot of things being held up because of this. So trim the fat where it's not needed. If it doesn't add to the product, you don't need it. Just like any artist, any musician, or any actor, or anybody who's in creativity world, if it doesn't add to the product, it doesn't need to be there. If you're doing it for sensationalism or for anything else, it's garbage. So they've just got to figure out what that is.
Yeah, there's a balance. And of course, the other side of this too is that, there has to be some truth. They have to know what the truth is, because who's to say that what that person's saying is not true?
Right.
So it's all hearsay. But I think they probably want to shave off some of the less inflammatory pieces. But here's what's good to know. It's good to know that there's 9 hours of documentary on Prince.
That's true. It is there.
It's completed. And it's just a matter of figuring out the balance, what goes where. So I am, I am all about it. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see, but that at least it's a little bit closer than it's a little bit closer than we've heard. We heard it was dead. We heard it was dead on the
I
Vine.
know.
We
And I
basically
agree.
heard this thing was shot and it was flushed. It was just like, nope, they're not doing it. It's not working. So this
Yeah.
is new news.
This is
here.
great news. I mean, and I admit 9 hours, I'd love to see it too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't want to see it. I'd love to see it, but I'm not gonna like complain and gripe and guess and because legally is where it has to go. You take your emotions out of it. The contract's the contract. So,
Yeah.
but I'd love to see it if they can come to a conclusion. Hey, trim it down to 8 hours. 8.5.
Yeah. Trim out an hour and a half somewhere, whatever, and then release it as release a director's cut. There you go. Figure out some way to make it a 6 hour per the agreement for the Netflix documentary, and then work out some type of marketing arrangement where you can then release it as a box set or something that's got a director's cut version that has an additional 3 hours on it.
Additional 3 hours. Exactly.
That's
the 3 hours completely separate on their own as their own thing.
Yeah, that's the fix. All right, well, that is all the purple news that we had for you today. Actually, that's all the news. That is the entire show. But I do want to remind you, and I know there was a lot of you that weren't here in the beginning when I made the special announcement about next week. And so I wanted to remind you guys what is happening next week. As we had said before, we've had an amazing run of shows that are pretty much unprecedented in the Funkatopia ethos. I mean, just really honestly, I can't even, I was looking over the interviews that we've done this year, and I know we've done this before, but since the beginning of the year, just this year, we're only in July. So technically we're literally just a little bit over the halfway point for 2024. And we've interviewed artist Maggie Keene, the one that did those amazing murals, the Prince murals that were in Arizona. And then she also did the one in Atlanta as well. We've interviewed Steve Park. We've interviewed Marcus Thomas from the Timex Social Club. We've interviewed Michael Bland and Sonny T together to help promote their brother event and everything. But then they came on again. So they've been on the show twice. Once in February and then once like a month later in March as well. We've interviewed Rick James Stone City Band. Plus, we also gave you footage and everything else with that as well, and a bunch of Prince stories. Then we interviewed LAW and Martin Kember. We interviewed Scotty Baldwin, who we're still actively in touch with to this day. He's sending us pictures of shows that he's doing over in Japan right now that are just ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, amazing stuff.
Yeah. So, and then we interviewed Jill Jones. We interviewed Troy Gua. We interviewed Marva King. We had the Purple Rain special, which was out of friggin' control because we had the Purple Rain roundtable that was Jerome Benton, Gilbert Davidson, Hucky Austin, Craig Rice, and Damon D. And it was just out of control. I mean, that show was out of control as far as the Purple Rain roundtable went. That was just insane.
Man.
Then we did another event of the celebration recap. We kind of went everything that we saw at the celebration for you guys. Then when we came back, we interviewed the child phenom who's 15-year-old Taj Farrant, got him to come on the show, and also 40 years of the time, which we had friggin' St. Paul Peterson and Jerry Hubbard on the show. And we also had Mark Cardinus, all of which were members of the time during Ice Cream Castle. So we did that whole 40-year thing. And then all that to being said, next week, that's all what we've done so far. Next week, Jesse Johnson is going to be on the show right here on Funkatopia Live. Just going to go ahead and share it with you.
He gets it again. Jesse Johnson gets the clap. I mean,
it is going to be, this whole year, 2024 is ridiculous. And Brian says, damn, I missed all that.
I missed all that? Yeah, you did.
I don't know how you missed all that, but let me just say, if you download the Funked Up app,
I was just going to say that.
Dude, all you got to do, I don't know how you're missing it, because if you download the Funked Up app, you literally, it's right there. I mean,
you got it all, man. You got it all.
It's pretty ridiculous. It's as soon as you start up the Funked Up app, I have like a test version that's kind of doing some weird things. As soon as you start up the Funked Up app, there is like all the shows are right there on there. All you gotta do is just scroll down and listen to them right there on the app, and it's a free app.
And if you become a Patreon member, you even have more information and more stuff. So it's all there.
Yeah, there's a yeah. Lisa says, "Are you going to fangirl a little bit?" Yeah. Luckily, Lisa, because I told you I went through earlier. I showed all the vinyl I have just on here, and that doesn't even include all the cassettes and everything else that I have on Jesse. But I was able to get that out of the way because again,
I'm on the phone.
yeah, I was able to get that out of the way because as I had mentioned, I woke up. For those who missed it, I woke up one morning and somebody had called me at 1:00 in the morning, and when I clicked play, I heard this.
Hey, what's up, Chris? This is Jesse Johnson. I wanted to speak with you about something. So give me a ring when you get a chance. All right, peace.
So I was already in fangirl mode at that point right there. I was already losing my right there. That was it.
And when you called him back, did you talk to him
of course I had to,
the same way?
I had to man up and call him back.
How you doing?
So then last night I finally was able to get back in touch with him. We didn't really play phone tag. It was just really kind of getting him on the thing, but I literally was on the phone with him for an hour and a half last night, talking to him one-on-one for an hour and a half until about 1:00 in the morning, talking about all kinds of things. And let me tell you, some of the things that he is going to divulge, I'm not talking about necessarily, purple stories, because there's going to be plenty of those, but some of the stuff that he's got coming,
nah,
I'm just telling you, and I'm just telling you, you need to tune in next week. Let's just put it that way.
He's coming. Here it is.
Yeah.
It's gonna be strong, powerful, explosions, fire, brimstone, everything.
So it's a lot.
Jesse Johnson is back. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So it's going to be a great show. It's next week. Jesse Johnson, and you don't want to be anywhere else. New music from Jesse will be great. You are right. It will be great.
Yep.
It's going to be amazing.
Okay.
Next week. Jesse Johnson, don't be anywhere else. Right here, Funkatopia Live. Man, woof. What a night. Well, let me tell you, I am such a fan of all of you guys for coming in and being very active in Funkatopia and always coming and checking this out. And even if we're just doing a free for all, it's great that you guys keep on coming. And I am so looking forward to spending some time with you guys next week, along with Jesse Johnson. And I'm going to do a post on Facebook. Obviously, I'm going to post this announcement about Jesse Johnson either tonight or tomorrow, probably tomorrow. So you guys are the first to know. And then what I'll do also is I'm going to give you guys the capability to be able to put your questions in, whatever questions that you feel like you want to ask. We can, I've got plenty.
Yeah, there's plenty.
I ain't saying I don't need you, but I've been planning for this show for many years. So
yeah,
I'm looking.
Yeah, and a lot of your questions are probably already in the list, but we really want to hear what you want to know as well. So yeah, make sure you post and put your stuff out there when he posts it.
Yep, absolutely. Make sure you get your questions in.
Get your questions
For now, we hope you had a fantastic time. Please support Funkatopia. Go to patreon.com/Funkatopia. It will serve you well with the app coming here with the next release. But patreon.com/Funkatopia. If you can only do one-time donations, that's cool too. You can do Venmo @Funkatopia or Cash App $Funkatopia. And again, you can see how it's spelled above my head. FUNKATOPIA. And of course on the scroller below as well. But with Patreon, you got a lot of cool stuff. I know that I have, I still get some files out. I still haven't done that for July, but it's been very, very busy. I've been doing a lot of work. and it's just I'm just trying to put these shows together every single week, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So there you go. And that's why I get the phone calls. Dorothy. It's we just got to keep on moving, man. It's just nonstop. It's nonstop. And some people have more responsibilities in their lives. Jeff is always moving, but he's got his own parallel universe going on at Jeff Page Music and doing all the stuff that he's doing. So there's
and you guys are you're gonna love that too. I'll tell you that.
Yes, there's stuff that's happening in alternate universes. Funkatopia is just my universe, and that's what we do. And we're glad you can tune in. This is going nowhere, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will talk to you guys later. If you missed any part of the show and you want to check it out, you can hear it tomorrow on the app. All you got to do is open up the Funked Up app, and it should be right on the top there. But we will see you next week with the one, the only Jesse Johnson in the house, and we're gonna have him for a couple hours. So get comfortable and get ready. Go ahead and get your coffee, whatever you got to get your cheese and grits, whatever you need to get comfortable and not move, because you're not gonna want to. We'll talk to you later. I'm Mr. Christopher. This is Jeff Page. We will see you next week with the one, the only Jesse Johnson. Good night. See ya.